Around 6,000 years ago, long before great civilizations like the Mayans or Incas rose, a mysterious population lived in the Americas. They hunted the land, gathered its wild bounty, honored their dead, and then, without warning, they disappeared, leaving no trace behind. For centuries, their existence remained buried beneath layers of soil, forgotten by history. Today, however, groundbreaking discoveries in ancient DNA are bringing this lost chapter of human history to light. Scientists have uncovered a group that does not fit anywhere on the known genetic map of the Americas. These people were neither ancestors of North America's ancient natives nor linked to the earliest inhabitants of South America. Their story challenges everything we thought we knew about early human migration on the continent. To understand them, we must go back roughly 20,000 years, to the height of the last ice age. Vast glaciers blanketed much of North America, and sea levels dropped, revealing a land bridge known as Beringia, connecting Siberia to Alaska. This grassy corridor teemed with mammoths, bison, and other megafauna, providing a gateway for the first humans entering the Americas. The earliest migrants came from East Asia and Siberia, carrying the genetic roots that would later appear in Native American populations. Around 16,000 years ago, they crossed Beringia and began their journey southward. As the ice sheets receded, these pioneers spread across the continent. By roughly 13,000 years ago, the Clovis culture, recognized by its distinctive fluted spear points, dominated much of North America. But recent discoveries complicate this timeline. Footprints at White Sands National Park in New Mexico, dated to over 23,000 years ago, suggest humans arrived much earlier than previously thought, a reminder that human presence in the Americas is far older and more complex. The migration south funneled through narrow land bridges like the Isthmus of Panama, the only accessible route to South America. One of the key stops along this path was the Bogotá Altiplano, a high plateau 2,600 meters above sea level in the eastern Andes of Colombia. Fertile soils, abundant wildlife, and freshwater wetlands made it an ideal refuge for early hunter-gatherers. Here, humans adapted to the challenges of high-altitude life, forging communities in a land both generous and demanding. Until recently, scientists believed that South America was populated by a single migration wave, followed by regional diversification. But the discovery of a unique lineage in the Bogotá Altiplano rewrites that narrative, revealing a far more intricate story of settlement, isolation, and adaptation. A landmark study published in Science Advances examined the genomes of 21 ancient individuals from the Bogotá Altiplano, spanning roughly 6,000 to 500 years ago. DNA extracted from their bones and teeth unveiled a previously unknown group of pre-ceramic hunter-gatherers who lived in this region around 6,000 years ago. This group, identified at the Checua site and labeled Columbia 6000 BP, represents a basal lineage, a distinct genetic branch that split early during South America's initial human settlement. Unlike other populations, they shared no close genetic ties with North American Clovis-associated individuals from Montana or with California Channel Island groups that later spread into the Andes. Instead, they form an outgroup relative to most indigenous South Americans, suggesting they were part of one of the earliest waves of humans entering the continent south of Panama. Genetic analysis using advanced techniques like F4 and F3 outgroup statistics, which measure relatedness between groups, confirms that this lineage had no direct connection to any modern or ancient South American population. This indicates an early, isolated migration, one that had gone undetected until now. Life on the Bogotá Altiplano 6,000 years ago was harsh, yet rewarding. Grassy plains and wetlands stretched beneath the towering peaks of the Andes. The Checua people hunted deer, small mammals, and fished from high-altitude rivers, while foraging for tubers, fruits, and other edible plants. Without pottery, they likely used baskets or animal hides to store and transport their food. DNA evidence also provides glimpses into their social structure. Among 7 individuals studied, researchers identified 4 close family pairs, siblings or cousins, indicating a small, tight-knit community. Most of the men shared a Y chromosome marker, Q1b1a, common among Native Americans, while maternal lineages varied more, with haplogroups B, C1, D, and A2 present. This diversity suggests a dynamic society with low inbreeding, reflecting careful social structure and mobility. The population was relatively small, estimated to be 3 to 8 times smaller than later groups, consistent with archaeological evidence of small hunter-gatherer bands during the pre-ceramic period. Their isolation raises compelling questions. Did they intentionally avoid other groups, or were they separated by geography, such as the Andes' formidable peaks? Tools made of stone and bone hint at a nomadic lifestyle, moving seasonally to follow food sources. They lived entirely off the land, well before agricultural practices or pottery transformed the Altiplano's human societies. By around 2,000 years ago, this unique group vanished. They were replaced by populations genetically similar to Central Americans, associated with the Herrera ceramic complex. DNA techniques like admixture and QP wave confirm that the Checua lineage left no genetic trace in these later communities, suggesting a complete replacement. Environmental changes, competition, disease, and the introduction of farming and pottery may have contributed to their disappearance. The discovery of the Checua people overturns the long-held idea that the Clovis culture represented the sole, first wave of settlers in the Americas. Instead, it paints a picture of multiple migrations, periods of isolation, and diverse adaptation strategies, similar to other early groups like the Beringians of Alaska or the Channel Islands populations of California. The Bogotá Altiplano emerges as a crucial site for understanding the peopling of South America. Future DNA studies across the continent may reveal whether descendants of the Checua survived elsewhere, perhaps in the Amazon basin or Central America. Emerging technologies, including single-cell sequencing and isotopic analysis, promise to uncover even more: what they ate, how they moved, and how they survived in high-altitude environments. This research also provokes deeper questions about human resilience. How did the Checua people thrive at 2,600 meters above sea level? How did climate shifts, like the warming period 6,000 years ago, affect their survival? And how did newcomers with pottery and farming eventually outcompete them? Each new discovery underscores the complexity of human history. The Chencha people remind us that early South Americans were not a uniform population, but a mosaic of groups, each with its own story of migration, survival, and adaptation. Thanks for joining this journey into the past. If you found this story fascinating, like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. What do you think happened to the Chencha people? Could traces of their legacy survive today?